Over the past few years, there's a certain level of performance we come accustomed to with different programs. Alabama is always going to compete for a national title, while Vanderbilt may struggle. Sometimes there are teams that are coming off great seasons from the year before that just seemingly fall off a cliff, i.e. Wisconsin and Oklahoma last year. This year, I want to go over 5 teams I expect to regress this season. But before we get into this, if you enjoy college football content like this, make sure to leave a like and to subscribe. I'm planning to release a video every day for the month of August. Also, comment which 5 teams you think will underperform this season in the comment section below. To be fair, there is really only one direction TCU can go after making it to the national title game and finishing the year 13-2. The only way for the program to go up is if they win a conference title or a national title, but I just don't see that happening this season. The Horned Frogs will be replacing quarterback Max Duggan, wide receiver Quentin Johnston, and running back Keandre Miller, defensive end Dylan Horton, and linebacker D. Whitner, and cornerback Travius Hodge Tomlinson. They also have a new offensive coordinator in Kendall Briles after Garrett Riley left for the Clemson job. Quarterback Chandler Morris will return to his starting role after getting hurt last year and being replaced by Duggan. The top returning running back is Amani Bailey, who rushed for 247 yards and 31 carries, but they do add Trey Sanders from Alabama through the transfer portal though. They lost their top 3 receivers from last year and have question marks on the offensive line. They return offensive tackles Brandon Coleman and Andrew Coker and add Alabama transfer Tommy Brockenmeyer, who was once the highest rated offensive tackle recruit ever. On the defensive side of the ball, they may actually see an improvement. There's an argument to be made that their defense was the worst defense ever to play in the college football playoffs. They gave up 408 yards per game, which ranked 95th, and 29 points per game, which ranked 90th. With 71% of last year's production returning, this defense should take a big step forward in 2023. They have a brutal back half of the schedule with games against Kansas State on the road, Texas Tech on the road, Texas at home, Baylor at home, and Oklahoma on the road. They could win double-digit games this year, but will most likely end up winning 7 to 8 games this season. Pittsburgh went 9-4 last year after losing 2 of their best players in college football during the 2021 offseason. They could have won even more games with tough losses to Tennessee 34-27 in overtime and Georgia Tech 26-21, so they almost pulled off an 11-win season, but shoulda, coulda, woulda, right? The issue going into this year though, Pittsburgh will be losing a lot more production and only have the 119th most returning production according to ESPN, while Action Network's numbers have the Panthers with the 2nd least returning production in the Power 5. On offense, they add Boston College transfer Phil Dracovic, who will be looking to revive his career after struggling to stay healthy since 2020. The Panthers also lost 1,400-yard rusher Israel Abnikamda to the NFL draft and saw 1,000-yard receiver Jared Wayne depart as well. They do return 4 starters on the offensive line, which should help. On defense, they returned 48% of their production from last year, which ranks 106th nationally. The positive side of the argument is the fact that Pittsburgh recruits the defensive side of the ball very well and should have talent waiting in the wings. Pittsburgh no longer benefits from an annual ACC Coastal schedule. Florida State is on the docket as well as a trip to Wake Forest. They're on a brutal non-conference slate that includes Cincinnati, West Virginia, and Notre Dame, and the Panthers are likely to regress into 2023. They should win anywhere between 6 to 8 games, so it shouldn't be a terrible season, just not the type of season Pitt fans have gotten used to the past few years. While I may be biased because I'm a Wisconsin alum, take a shot every time I mention that in a video, it still is fun to talk about how Minnesota may see a drop-off, though they hold the bragging rights right now with the Axe. The Gophers have been quietly good, winning over 9 games the past 3 non-COVID seasons, but they lose a lot of their production heading into the 2023 season. As of February of 2023, they only returned 59% of their offensive production, which ranks 91st nationally and is headlined by departures of Tanner Morgan and Mohamed Ibrahim, along with the entire interior of arguably the nation's best run-blocking offensive line. New starting quarterback, I'm going to butcher this name, Athan Kalakamanis, could very well be better than Morgan down the road, but replacing Mo at the running back position is going to be very difficult. Defensive coordinator Joe Rossi is one of the best in the nation, but will have his work cut out for him, with the Gophers only returning 57% of their production from last year, which ranks 78th nationally. That's before you add in the departures they had in the transfer portal. They have a brutal schedule on paper, traveling to Chapel Hill to take on North Carolina on September 16th, while also having a brutal cross-divisional schedule, hosting Michigan and Michigan State, and traveling to Ohio State to play them in the Horseshoe. I expect the Gophers to win 6 to 7 games this season and still make it to a bowl game, but not what Gopher fans have grown expected to in the Twin Cities. Cincinnati will have their work cut out for them this season. Under head coach Luke Fickell, the Bearcats have won 53 games compared to only 10 losses over the past 5 years and found themselves in the college football playoffs very recently. Now, Fickell is coaching in Madison, Wisconsin. They leave the American Athletic Conference for the Big 12, which should be a step up in competition. They will have a brand new quarterback in Emory Jones. The Scott Satterfield era begins after he went 25-24 at Louisville, and with a new head coach comes only 46% of the returning production for Cincinnati from 2022, which ranks 124th nationally. Jones is now on his third team after stops at Florida and Arizona State, and will look to make his NFL dreams a reality with a strong season. The cupboard is bare at wide receiver though, with no receivers with 5 or more receptions returning from 2022 and 2023. They also add Florida transfer Xavier Henderson, Washington State's Donovan Ollie, and Louisville's D. Wiggins to add experience depth to what is the most concerning unit on the team. They only returned 2 starters on the offensive line, but added 2 strong starter-esque players through the transfer portal for the offensive line. The defense returns 49% of its production from last season, which ranks 107th nationally, with the defensive line being the strength of the team. Dante Corleone received preseason All-Big 12 honors, as well as All-American nods from Phil Steele and Athlon Sports. They will be rebuilding their linebacker core, though, which is a tough blow. They avoid Texas, Kansas State, and TCU, while facing Oklahoma, Baylor, and UCF at home, which gives them the 3rd easiest schedule in the Big 12, along with non-conference games against Pitt, Miami of Ohio, and Eastern Kentucky. They are projected to win about 6 games, which is a major step back when you look at the past few seasons. Coastal Carolina is the last team I'm going to talk about in this video, and it pains me to talk about them in this light because they have become one of my favorite Group of 5 programs. They are coming off another strong 9-4 season, but will be replacing head coach Jamie Chadwell with Tim Beck. Chadwell built everything up after taking over for Joe Moglia and went on a 31-3 run over almost 3 seasons before closing at the 2022 season on a 3-game losing streak. Star quarterback Grayson McCall returns after missing part of last year with injuries and was far from 100% most of the season. The terrific veteran is a 70% career passer with just 8 interceptions and 78 touchdown passes, and Sam Pickney is the star of the receiving corps, coming off a 71 reception season for close to 1,000 yards, along with Jared Brown and Tyson Mobley. They also should have a decent run game and have a veteran offensive line unit. So where are the issues? Well, on the defensive side of the ball, they had 1 interception over the last 8 games of last year and allowed over 9 yards per throw after giving up fewer than 7 yards per toss over the previous 2 seasons. They returned 65% of their production from last year on the defensive side of the ball and 79% of their production on the offensive side of the ball. They will still be good, just not what you expect from Coastal Carolina. Expect 7 wins this season. Those are 5 teams that may underperform this season in my opinion. What do you think? Will be 5 disappointing teams this year? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and to subscribe for more college football content like this, and check out one of my other videos YouTube thinks you will love right here. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, remember to embrace the grind.